Once you've come up with 3 different ideas for your zoetrope, you are going to select one of them and then write down what the beginning, middle, and end would look like. So for example, my noun was egg, my verb was hatch, my outcome was a chick. So the beginning, I would have an egg. In the middle, I would have a big crack down the egg. And then in the end, I would have a chick with eggshells around it. Once you've determined the beginning, middle, and end of your sequence, then you're going to plan out the keyframe. You can use a ruler to help make sure things line up in each of your frames. So I drew a line at where the grass would be, and then I drew a line where the top of the shell would be. Then I showed the 3 parts, the beginning, which is the egg, the middle where you start to see the chick hatching with a crack down the egg, and then the final one where the chick is completely free. Once I was happy with my drawings, then I took a thin Sharpie and I went ahead and retraced all of my lines so that they were very easy to see. I also went back and erased any pencil lines that were still remaining so they didn't confuse me when I went to trace this on my final form. Once my planning was complete, I took my Zoetrope template and my keyframes brainstorming and I went over to a light box. Now, if you look closely, the boxes on your keyframes have been labeled. So you have to find the correct box on your Zoetrope template, line it up. You can use paper clips to hold it in place, and you're going to trace it in that frame. So the first frame is number 1. I find that it's all the way on the right side, top row. I go ahead and trace the egg. Then my next one is frame 6. So I find it, I go ahead and trace it, and then I find the last frame, which is frame 12, and I go ahead and trace what I see there. Once I have my keyframes drawn on my Zoetrope template, then I can go back and start to add in the in-between steps. So I use the cracking of the egg keyframe and I put it under my other frames, and I use that to help me see the path that I needed to make the cracks going down the egg. So this helps me to ensure that my frames will flow together. So as you draw each frame, remember we're working from right to left, and you want to make sure that you're showing a little bit more progress in the action with each frame. When I got to row 2, I decided to go ahead and retrace the cracking chick. This time I moved it so the head was sticking up. Then as I got closer to the end of my Zoetrope frames, I used my last keyframe to help guide me with how to open up the shell and how much of the chick to show. Again, it's really important to pay attention to which number frame you are working on and make sure that you're showing just a little bit of progress through the action with each frame until you get to the final frame, the final keyframe, or the end of the sequence. Once you are happy with your designs, take a look and make sure that it shows the steps or the progress that you want. Then you're going to take a thin Sharpie and you are going to retrace all of your lines. Because the zoetrope moves pretty quickly, we need to be able to see your details by outlining them. After you have all of your frames traced, then you're going to go back over and erase any extra pencil lines that are still showing. Next, you're ready to add color. I recommend working with markers because that's going to give you brighter and more contrast that's easier to see when the zoetrope is spinning. But you could also use colored pencils. You can test out your markers on the side of your paper to see what colors you want to work with. Remember, you need to keep your colors consistent throughout each frame so that it seems like it is the same object doing the action within the sequence. Because the egg is white and my paper color was white, I decided to color in the sky color blue around the egg to create some contrast in order to help it stand out. You'll also notice I made sure the grass line was even and the same color in all of the frames. Take your time, stay in the lines. Remember, neat coloring helps your images and your designs be more clear to the viewer, which then helps the animation be easier to see when they use the zoetrope. Once you are done, please make sure your name is on your paper and you are going to turn it into the teacher who will scan it in so you have a copy of your designs to turn into an animated GIF.